All right, college football fans, I got some information for you. This according to a source. Here's a consensus going around among the major conferences if things progress at a predictable curve. We're going to have 10 games. Now, this is somebody on the inside, a source saying 10 games with a later start, and that means later in the calendar year. 9 conference games. Regional games take preference, less travel. You won't have any FCS games. Players returning mid-June, maybe early July. So Ohio State would play Akron or Kentucky. Illinois would schedule Northern Illinois or Missouri. Bus to more games, not flying. The conference that is struggling is the Pac-12. California is a concern when it will open, and they stretch from Washington to Arizona. Money will be a concern. Attendance will be limited. In some cases, Rutgers wouldn't necessarily fly to Minnesota for a game. Pac-12, not many regional options. UNLV, New Mexico, Portland State, Reno. So those are just some of the things that they're looking at here with the college football season. And that is how much travel can you have, the schedule that you're going to have, and how many games are you going to have. So 9 conference games, and then you would have maybe just a regional game. Jason, let me start with the music, the choice of music that you have in trying to match the period there. Give me the detail that went into that.
It's the most important aspect of it to me. Anytime we do a project, the first thing I start with is the music. And, I walk around my neighborhood in New York and listen to songs that we may use, that we may not use, but something that gets me in the mood of what that music or what the doc is going to sound like, how the story is going to feel. And the texture of the entire documentary is the music. This was a really great opportunity because this doc is based in 80s and 90s nostalgia. And my greatest musical love is old school hip hop. So I could not wait to sink my teeth into matching up songs to each era that we're covering in each episode. So it was a field day. We had an incredible team of music clearance people. Old school hip hop is the hardest thing to clear because there's so many samples and so many of them went unchecked back in the day. Like no one was keeping track of those before sampling laws came into effect. But Rudy Chung and the guys that hit the ground running did an incredible job with this. So I was lucky to have them.
What kind of music fan is Jordan or was Jordan back then?
I think he's more R&B. I don't think that he's the kind of guy who would listen to I'm Bad, LL Cool J before a game. He famously said that he listens to Giving You the Best That I've Got, Anita Baker before games. And it just wouldn't. It's just another incredible thing about him, big or small, but it wouldn't have fit the tone that I was trying to match in the doc. So we decided to go with our own taste rather than Michael's.
Who was reluctant?
Stockton was reluctant because, I finally got him on the phone. We interviewed John Stockton on March 10th.
This March 10th.
Yeah. So that was Tuesday, March 10th. We interviewed him in Spokane. It was so deep into this COVID crisis that we decided I shouldn't fly to Spokane because we were afraid that flights would get grounded indefinitely. So we had someone out there, a stringer from Seattle, drove in and did that interview. He was reluctant because I finally got him on the phone after like 2 years of chasing him in January or February. And he said, I don't want to be part of a Michael Jordan puff piece. And I said, I can assure you that this is not a puff piece. And I explained to him who else was participating and that he was the 106th interview in the process and what we were covering. And then guys like BJ Armstrong were reluctant out of deference to Michael because they're protecting Michael and they wanted to know, who these people are who are telling this story. Is Michael cool with it? There were plenty of people who, it's not easy to get people to sit down and talk about Michael because he casts such a large shadow over people's lives still. So they want to know all sorts of details about, all right, who is this telling the story? What have they done before? What kind of story is this going to be? So we had a lot of reluctance, but very few. I mean, we had 106 interviews and we cast a really wide net and maybe 2 or 3 people said they'd rather not be a part of it.
But the fact that Stockton says, I don't want to be part of a puff piece, how did you react to that?
I loved it. I've never heard John Stockton's voice. I've never heard it. He's so reticent. I mean, he could have sounded like Scottie Pippen. He could have sounded like my mom. Like, I had no idea what he was going to sound like. But I respected him more for saying, no, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that I don't feel like gushing about Michael Jordan for a half hour and you guys putting it. It still stings, those losses.
Oh, Reggie Miller was on a couple of weeks ago, Jace. I mean,
Reggie's
painful.
Another guy. Reggie's another guy, man. And we tried, and we were getting official no's from Reggie. And Gail DeGasino, who's his manager, I had to reach out to her personally and assure her like we were doing this the right way. We were getting no's from him. And then I was listening to him call games and he was saying, I haven't gotten a call yet. I'm hoping to be a part of this thing. And I was like, Reggie, we're dying for you to be a part of this. But it still stings with these guys. Larry Bird is legendarily, Larry Legend, no pun intended, legendarily reluctant to speak about anything. He just doesn't like doing these interviews. But it's like I said before, that when Michael calls, people pick up on the first ring. So Magic said, I don't know if this happened, but Magic told me that when he did it, he called Larry and said, you have to do it because I did it. It's this incredible, Mount Rushmore of guys who have this kind of pact that they all are going to tell each other stories. It's really cool to observe.
Jordan didn't take out anything?
Oh, he did not. No. And when you see the episodes next week, you'll be surprised. Maybe he skipped episode 7. I'm not sure, but I can't believe that he didn't.
Wait, well, what did he? You have the Steve Kerr fight, but what is tasty that he should have maybe had edited?
Well, the Steve Kerr fight is only a story that's told, and he was eager to tell that, and Steve was too. But the footage, this treasure trove of footage that we have from the NBA, what we tackle in episodes 7 and 8 next week is what it was like to play with Michael, and then what it was like to play against him in 7 and 8 respectively. And the with Michael stuff, man, I don't know if you would want to practice with Michael Jordan. It'd be fun to watch. I don't know if it'd be fun to interact with him during that, because he is hard. He wanted to make those practices harder than any game could possibly be. And in the East back in the 90s, that meant making it as rough and as mentally grueling as possible. And there's things in there. There's language in there that I'm shocked that ESPN let us keep in, and there's behavior in there that I'm shocked that Michael let us keep in. But we were lucky enough that we had great partners in both.
I love seeing Kobe. You don't realize how impactful those words are until, obviously, with what happened. But I thought it was just such a mature way to approach this Jordan legacy of, I'm not there with him. He's the reason why I am where I am. It hit hard.
For me, it hit hard. I haven't seen these episodes in a long time, because we signed off on these pre-COVID, and it's been such a race to the finish line. After he passed away, it was always striking in the edit room to see him come up. I will never wrap my head around it. I don't think any of us will. It doesn't make sense that someone who seemed that vibrant and vital and immortal, frankly, could be gone. So it's not the most articulate way to say it, man, but it is so sad to watch that last night. Was so sad and so poignant because of Michael's speech too at the memorial. That from both sides, that's confirmed. This is not just athlete BS. And he's my big brother. He really felt that way about him. And Michael really felt that way about Kobe. It was such a special relationship. There's such kindred spirits. And to say it hit home is an understatement.
I've been teasing this Clyde Drexler story. I don't know if it's good enough to keep teasing it, but I'll give it to you.
Our Portland affiliate is just on pins and needles.
Yeah, okay. Now, this comes from a reliable source here that when Clyde Drexler was on the Dream Team with Michael Jordan, and Jordan was relentless. He was brutal to Clyde Drexler because Clyde Drexler was being told that he was better than Michael Jordan at the time. And, of course, you had the NBA Finals when, Michael hit those 6 threes. That was in Game 1 of the 92 Finals. And he did that in the first half. He never made more than 4 3-pointers in a game, in a playoff game after that. So he had 6 in the first quarter because he wanted to say to Clyde Drexler, oh, you think you're better than me or as good as me? So he sends him a nice little message. So that you then have the Dream Team. Drexler, from what I'm told, shows up at practice one day with 2 left shoes. And Jordan and Barkley, they were all over him. He said, hey, I was getting dressed in the dark, and he showed up with 2 left shoes. And Jordan was just brutal on him. And then they had to, I think Clyde had to borrow one of Larry Bird's shoes because he had 2 left shoes. And plus, they refused to let him off the hook. Mike was brutal to him. He really was. Tim, let me start with the elephant in the room, or the red elephant in the room, with Andy Dalton. Give me the strategy behind this of bringing in Andrew Dalton as a Cowboys backup.
Why has he got to be the red elephant? Why do you have to go there? No, I mean, I don't think. I think the strategy is fairly simple. They've done this sometimes, bringing in a veteran quarterback. They haven't done it a lot, so that's what has people thinking, "Oh, what's this about?" They've been very lucky. Dak Prescott started 64 games. He's really never come out of a game while it was on the line. His backup the last 2 years, Cooper Rush, threw 3 passes in 2 seasons. And here's Andy Dalton floating around, and he's inexpensive. And so I really think it's injury protection. Now, everybody kind of jumps the gun and says, well, what if Dak, doesn't come to camp or something? I really don't think there's a single worry about that, honestly. He's going to make $31 million if he doesn't get a long-term deal. So I really think it's just they've done a better job getting backups at a lot of spots, and here's another one.
I was telling Paulie, I'm paying somebody to redo a 1973 RS Porsche, and I had settled on this color, stone gray. And all of a sudden, over the weekend, I changed it.
See, I really liked your stone gray idea when you told me about it a couple months ago, because you see Porsches and there's a lot of red and black, and that's an original color. It's cool.
It is. It looks beautiful, and we only started to paint a little bit of the car, like inside where the engine is. We pulled the engine and painted just a little bit. And I said to the guy who's doing all the work, I said, you know what? I want to change the color. And he said, what do you want to go with? And I said, Viper Green.
What is Viper Green?
Well, if you Google Viper Green. Now, the thing that I don't like about it is that it's a notice me color. It's like the guy who has the red Ferrari. Like, this is Viper Green, and this is, here it comes. Yeah, Paulie.
Viper Green, to put it in perspective for people listening, would be like the color of a popsicle. Like you took it out of the can. It's bright green, not forest green. It's not. No. It's closer to like a limey green.
Yeah, it's Viper Green. So I'm redoing a 1973 RS. Oh, Paulie gave the thumbs down to Viper Green.
I hate to tell you this, Dan. I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. It's pretty stunning on a Porsche. But did you guys Google Viper Green? Seton, you're giggling.
Well, not to rain on anyone's parade here, but so far I think you're 0 for 2 on the
Okay.
colors.
All right. Yes, Paul?
I did find a picture of one, and I see a done one, and it has a kind of 70s cool Brad Pitt would be driving it in that movie with Tarantino.
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, he might be driving that movie.
All right.
Maybe. So I'm
Okay. McLevin?
It'd be cool. Are you going to add a big decal logo of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle on the side too?
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Shots fired. Got it.
No, it's super cool. I think is this like a Gone in 60 Seconds, Fast and Furious inspiration?
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of those.
Well, I do love both of those movies. I love the Fast and Furious franchise, and I love Gone in 60 Seconds. Oh, Mr. Car Guy Todd.
I'm all in on the Viper. You may change your mind now because that I'm in.
Oh, I don't care about the front row. No. They can
but
have their opinion.
There's already a certain amount of attention attached to look at me, I have a Porsche. So you might as well go all in and go with a wacky color to get even more attention on it.
I don't know if it's wacky.
Wacky's a tough word.
I don't know if it's
wacky in a good way.
Wacky.
Whack. No.
Wacky in a good way.
Wacky like wild, throw caution to the wind. Just
horrendous in a good way.
Putrid, but in a good way.
Wacky and putrid and horrendous are not synonyms.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you.
Have you committed to this color?
We haven't bought the paint yet.
God, that gray sounded so nice.
It's stone gray. Mm-hmm. I know.
My wife and I ran into Sacha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
One day.
Okay.
and then and then that's been it. So,
well, what do you talk about? Do you like? Is it you know each other?
well, they were on bicycles, and they stopped and they said, "Oh, hey, it's you guys," and we said, "Oh, hey, it's you guys," and then they asked us about our sheepdog Cosmo that we were walking, and where did we get a dog like that? And we explained, and they then said, well, we might email you guys because maybe we'll get a sheepdog. And that's the level of conversation that's happening in the Hollywood Hills.
How did you end up in the Seattle Seahawks video chat?
Oh, that was all Pete. That was Pete Carroll who had texted me. We were texting a little bit during the draft because he had said that I was a I was a draft clue. Zoolander was a draft clue. And did I have any other ideas to send him?
Wait, what do you mean draft clue?
I don't know. He didn't ever explain it. And so I go, well, what does it have to? I can send you clues. I assumed he meant, self-referential clues, things from movies I'd done, etc. And I said, what do the clues have to correlate to anything? He's like, no, doesn't matter. So I don't know if they just post things to try to throw their fans off as to who they might be drafting.
And then he said, hey, I'm going to do this video chat with.
Yeah. Then the next day he was like, you want to crash our thing.
And you were Greg Olson.
I was Greg Olson, the incoming tight end.
And he let himself go. Like
former Carolina Panther.
Yeah, he did not look in game shape.
I don't think he thinks there's going to be a season, so he's let himself go. Yeah. Well, I was just trying to remember if I actually got to see Jordan play.
Yeah.
In an actual game, I saw him play. I saw him play twice in the strangest of circumstances. I saw him as a sophomore. When he was a sophomore at Carolina, play because I was a camper at the Dean Smith basketball camp in University of North Carolina. The only kid from California, probably one of the few kids from out of state, and they did a pickup scrimmage between some alumni and the current team and Michael Jordan. We watched Michael Jordan play.
Wait, how did you end up at Dean Smith's basketball camp coming from California?
I was just a weird kid, Dan.
Were your parents trying to get
no,
or not? Okay.
No. Yeah, they were trying to get me away from. No, all my family's from North Carolina. So my dad went to Chapel Hill, and we thought it would be.
Oh, that's cool.
It'd be fun to go to basketball camp, even though, like I said, I was the only kid from California, and most of the campers go with their own team. So every kid had like 4 or 5 buddies, except for me. So I'd lie in my dorm room going, "Only 4 more nights. Only 4 more nights. You can do it."
Did you ever meet Jordan?
I met him. You know what? I met him while we were shooting. I think we were shooting Bewitched at Culver Studios, and they said Jordan's next door shooting a Hanes underwear commercial. So he wasn't in his underwear, but yeah, met him. That's the one time I met him.
You would have been great in a Hanes underwear
I
commercial,
know.
right?
Thank you.
Like put you in some medium underwear and let you.
Yep.
I mean, that's right in your wheelhouse.
I'm not.
You're going to move some product.
I'm a little bit past the medium. I probably have to go XL.
Yeah.
But still. Yeah, I'm. If Hanes is listening, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just got this statement from the Miami Dolphins. Don Shula was the patriarch of the Miami Dolphins for 50 years. He brought the winning edge to our franchise. Put the Dolphins in the city of Miami in the national sports scene. Our deepest thoughts and prayers go out to Mary Ann, along with his children, Dave, Donna, Sharon, Ann, and Mike. Don Shula has passed away at the age of 90. Had the opportunity to play golf with Coach after he retired. This was probably 15 years ago. And he lived off the first tee at Indian Creek Country Club outside of Miami. And we it was just fun to see him out of the element. When he coached, he had that look on his face like he was right off of Mount Rushmore. And he was funny and self-deprecating and inquisitive. And it was just, you got to see a coach outside of that coaching world. And it was always one of those moments I cherished because I had such respect for him. He was so tough. But in that moment, playing golf with him, and he said, I'm not very good. He goes, I was really good at coaching. I'm not very good at golf. I said, Coach, I'm not good at either. All right, so Coach Shula passing away at the age of 90. Fritzy, what'd you learn today?
Michael Jordan preferred listening to Anita Baker is giving you the best that I got before a game as opposed to hip hop or rap music.
McLovin?
Tim Kalishaw is a sweatpants and button-down shirt guy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Final results of the poll question, McLovin.
Would the Bulls have won 8 straight? 54% said yes, so it came down during the show.
All right. Seton O'Connor.
Will Ferrell has tape over his camera just like everyone else.
Paulie?
Big whiff by Haynes not wedging Will Ferrell into an underwear commercial with Michael Jordan.
All right.
Wedging.
All right.
Nice.
No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Do it again tomorrow, right here on The Dan Patrick Show.